Power Stroke is a line of diesel engines found in Ford diesel trucks, Ford Excursion SUVs, Ford Econoline vans, Ford LCF commercial vehicles and the Brazilian Ford Ranger. The V8 engines were produced by Navistar International Corporation until 2010 when Ford decided to build their diesel engine completely in-house. The Power Stroke engines compete primarily in the United States full-size pickup truck market with the Duramax V8 from General Motors Isuzu and the B-Series Straight 6 from Cummins. 7.3 Power Stroke. The 7.3L Power Stroke diesel was introduced halfway through the 1994 model year in Ford Econoline vans and Ford heavy-duty pickups. It effectively replaced the 7.3i Di turbo with which it shared nothing other than displacement size. The Power Stroke is an electronically controlled, direct injection engine with a 4.11 in-bore and 4.18 in-stroke, creating a displacement of 444 kN. It has a 17.5:1 compression ratio, and has a dry weight of approximately 920 lb. This engine produced up to 250 HP and 505 lb-ft of torque in automatic transmission trucks during the last years of production, and 275 HP and 525 lb-ft of torque in manual transmission trucks. The 7.3 holds 16 quarts of oil. The 1994.5 to 1996/97 Di Power Stroke had single-shot HEUI fuel injectors and ran a high-pressure oil pump to create the necessary oil pressure to fire the fuel injectors. This generation of Power Stroke utilized a HPOP with a 15-degree swash plate angle. 1994.5-1997 trucks used a cam-driven fuel pump, whereas the 1999 to 2003 trucks used a frame rail-mounted electric fuel pump. The California trucks in 1996 and 1997 had split-shot fuel injectors. Other trucks didn't get split-shot injectors until 1999. Single-shot injectors only inject one charge of fuel per cycle, whereas the split-shot injector releases a preliminary light load before the main charge to initiate combustion in a more damped manner. This controlled injection helps reduce the sharp combustion knock. It utilizes a single turbocharger with a turbine housing size of 1.15 areas per Rankine. In 1999, an air-to-air intercooler was added to cool the charged air from the turbo for increased air density. The cooler, denser air would increase the horsepower potential of the engine, while also reducing exhaust gas temperatures. Eventually, the turbine housing was changed to a 0.84 areas per Rankine housing and a wastegate was added. With larger injectors, the HPOP output was increased by utilizing a 17-degree swash plate angle to meet the requirements of the new, higher-flowing injectors. The 7.3L Di Power Stroke was in production until the second quarter of model year 2003 when it was replaced by the 6.0L because of its inability to meet newer emission requirements. Due to its popularity, nearly 2 million 7.3s were produced from International's Indianapolis plant. 6.0 Power Stroke. The 7.3L Power Stroke was replaced by the 6.0L beginning in the second quarter of the 2003 model year. The 6.0L Power Stroke was used in Ford Super Duty trucks until the 2007 model year but lasted until 2009 in Ford Econoline vans. The engine has a 3.74 in-bore and 4.13 in-stroke, creating a displacement of 365 kN or 5954 cc's. It utilizes a variable geometry turbocharger and intercooler, producing 325 HP and 570 lb-ft torque with an 18:1 compression ratio, with fuel cutoff at 4200 rpms. Some of the early 6.0L Power Stroke engines experienced problems, and it is speculated to have cost Ford millions of dollars in warranty repairs and buybacks. They led to many recalls and the repurchase of at least 500 trucks, particularly in the first year. Key specifications: fuel injection system, split-shot HEUI, valve train, OHV4 valve, turbo configuration, single variable vane geometry, design problems, cylinder heads, A major problem with the 6.0L was the torque-to-yield head bolts, which in an overboost condition would lead to a blown head gasket, and eventually a cracked cylinder head. The 7.3L and 6.7L Power Stroke engines both have 6 head bolts per cylinder. By contrast, the 6.0L only has 4 head bolts per cylinder. Electrical and fuel, numerous PCM recalibrations, fuel injector stiction along with several other drivability and QC problems have been problems for the 6.0 as well. The FICM has been a problem, where low voltage in the vehicle's electrical system due to failing batteries or a low output alternator causes damage to the FICM. The FICM multiplies the voltage in the fuel injector circuit from 12 to 48 to 50 volts to fire the injectors. 6.4 Power Stroke. The 6.4L Power Stroke was introduced for the 2008 model year. Strict emissions regulations and the overall questionable reliability of the 6.0L were the primary factors that presented a need for a new clean slate engine. Quieter and cleaner than its predecessors, the 6.4L Power Stroke was the first engine introduced to the light truck market that utilized dual turbochargers from the factory. This was the first Power Stroke to use a diesel particulate filter in order to nearly eliminate particulate emissions. The new DPS and active regeneration system greatly hindered the engine's fuel economy capability, though the engine proved to be comparatively strong and reliable. The engine was ultimately retired after the 2010 model year, as Ford replaced the engine with its own in-house built 6.7L Power Stroke for 2011 and on. The engine has a 3.86 N-bore and 4.13 N-stroke, resulting in a total calculated displacement of 387 km in all. Despite having to meet emission regulations, the new engine was able to increase horsepower and torque ratings to 350 HP and torque to 650 lb-ft at the flywheel. Horsepower and torque are achieved at 3000 rpms and 2000 rpms respectively. It also features a compound VGT turbo system. Air enters the low-pressure turbo and is fed into the high-pressure turbo, then directed into the engine or intercooler. This system is designed to result in reduced turbo lag when accelerating from a stop. The series turbo system is set up to provide a better throttle response while in motion to give a power flow more like a naturally aspirated engine. The 6.4-liter also has a diesel particulate filter and dual EGR coolers which are capable of reducing exhaust gas temps by up to 1000 degrees before they reach the EGR valve and mix with the intake charge. The diesel particulate filter traps soot and particulates from the exhaust and virtually eliminates the black smoke that most diesel engines expel upon acceleration. The engine computer is programmed to periodically inject extra fuel in the exhaust stroke of the engine to burn off soot that accumulates in the DPF. This engine must run on ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel which has no more than 15 ppm sulfur content. Using regular diesel fuel will result in emission equipment malfunctions and violate manufacturer warranties. The 6.4L has had one recall that addresses the potential for flames to come from the tailpipe of the truck. This problem arises from the DPF which is part of the diesel after-treatment system. A PCM recalibration has been released to eliminate the possibility of excessive exhaust temperatures combined with certain rare conditions resulting from what is becoming known as a thermal event. Key specifications: fuel injection system, high-pressure common rail, valve train, OHV4 valve, compound VGT turbo, diesel particulate filter, advanced multi-shot piezoelectric fuel injection control, 6.7 Scorpion. The 6.7L is the first medium-duty diesel designed and built by Ford. It was designed in conjunction with AVL of Austria. During design, Ford engineers codenamed this engine Scorpion due to the turbo being mounted right on top of the block. It includes a compacted graphite iron block for greater strength while reducing weight, reverse-flow aluminum cylinder heads with dual water jackets, 6 head bolts per cylinder, and 29,000 SI high-pressure common rail Bosch fuel system. The system delivers up to 5 injection events per cylinder per cycle using 8-hole piezo injectors spraying fuel into the piston bowl. This engine also supports B20 biodiesel, allowing greener fueling options of up to 20% biodiesel and 80% petroleum diesel. There is also a unique inboard exhaust and outboard intake architecture, an automotive industry first for a modern production diesel engine. Garrett Euro 1 registered trademark single sequential turbocharger features an industry-first double-sided compressor wheel mounted on a single shaft. It combines the benefits of a small turbocharger and a large turbocharger in one unit. The connecting rods are made by Mile. Emissions controls include exhaust gas recirculation, Denoxtronic-based selective catalytic reduction solution from Bosch, and a diesel particulate filter. Output was originally 390 HP and 735 lb-aft, but shortly after production started, Ford announced that they have made an update to the new 6.7L diesel. The new engine control software makes the engine capable of 400 HP at 2800 RPMs and 800 lb-aft at 1600 RPMs while achieving better fuel economy and without any physical changes to the engine. All 6.7L engines already shipped to dealerships or purchased by customers can be upgraded to Ford's new specifications with a free software update available at Ford dealerships. 2015 engines are rated at 440 horsepower and 860 lb-aft. Ford claims the bump in horsepower is from a new turbo, new injector tips and exhaust improvements. Key specifications: fuel injection system, high-pressure common rail, valve train, OHV4 valve, turbo configuration, single sequential variable vane geometry, diesel particulate filter, 3.2 powerstroke. The 3.2L powerstroke is an inline 5-cylinder engine that will debut in the US spec Transit for model year 2014. The engine is a modified version of the Ford Duratorq 3.2L diesel engine that has been adapted to meet emissions in the United States. To aid in economy, emissions, and reduce NVH, it has a high-pressure common rail fuel injection system and piezo injectors that can spray up to 5 different injections per compression event. It has a water-cooled EGR system to reduce the temperature of the exhaust gas before being recirculated through the intake. A unique feature to the emissions system is that the diesel oxidation catalyst and the diesel particulate filter have been combined into one singular unit as opposed to the traditional 2 separate units. Exhaust treatment continues with selective catalytic reduction, which is done by the injection of diesel exhaust fluid in the exhaust to reduce NOx. The engine features a variable geometry turbo which allows for intake airflow tuning on the fly to increase power and fuel economy. The engine also features a variable flow oil pump to avoid wasting mechanical energy pumping excessive amounts of oil when it is not needed. It is cast aluminum, low-friction pistons with oil squirters to keep them cool during heavy load conditions, a die-cast aluminum cam carrier to stiffen up the valve train and reduce NVH, and to increase low-end durability. The crankshaft is cast iron and the connecting rods are forged. The block itself is an extra-rigid, grey cast iron with a closed deck. The power figures for the 3.2L powerstroke are 185 horsepower at 3000 RPMs and 350 pounds-ft at 1500 to 2750 RPMs. The Euro Duratorq 3.2 makes 200 horsepower and 350 ft-lb of torque. Not much is lost for it having higher emission regulations. Key specifications: fuel injection system, high-pressure common rail, valve train, DOHC4 valve, turbo configuration, single variable geometry turbo, combined diesel particulate filter and diesel oxidation catalyst, urea-injected selective catalytic reduction. Applications: the power-stroke engine has been used in the following applications. F-Series Super Duty Excursion applications, mid-1994 Euro mid-2003 7.3L, mid-2003 Euro 2007 6.0L, 2008 Euro 2010 6.4L, 2011 Euro Present 6.7L, E-Series applications, mid-1994 Euro 2003 7.3L, 2004 Euro 2010 6.0L, LCF application, 2005 Euro 2010 4.5L. Other engines with the power-stroke name: A 3.0L diesel i4 engine used in South American models of the Ford Ranger uses the Power Stroke name. The above detailed 3.2L Duratorque i5 is branded as Power Stroke in US spec Ford Transit vans. See also, Ford engines, Ford modular engine, references. External links, Power Stroke diesel homepage, Navistar International, Power Stroke diesel specs.